How we all doing today? Yes, Sunday morning. Here we are, back again. Well, as promised, I told you we'd talk, and this is what he's got me to tell you, and what we got going on. But let me start, I guess, with the history of this and what this is all about. See, we all know about BC time and AD time, or after Christ, after death. And how the calendar started at 0 again, or for the first time. It went backwards until then. See, we really never had an understanding of calendars. The Mayans are the only ones that ever really figured it out, but the world didn't know about their calendar. They were the only ones that knew about it. Before that, time just passed by. But after Christ was born, Jesus walked the earth, it changed things. It changed things a lot. It went to where people started realizing that that God is possibly real. And it caused a lot of problems for the Romans. It was a real PR nightmare, actually. Because, see, with the Romans, what they really were, in a lot of ways, were like civilized police for the area. They were big because they really did try to bring peace to the area that they ruled. Though they ruled it with an iron fist, they were out to stop a lot of problems so that civilized people could live right. And so that was the original power behind the Romans. But when Jesus came, and they had that dreadful day where they crucified him, those that did it, and the Pharisees that was involved with the vote, they had a really bad tragedies shortly after that there's no records of, but it happened. And the people knew of the Jesus walking the earth and found out what they had done to him that day. Because there wasn't a bunch of people there like you think there was. There was only people there during the festival and the event. But Jesus had walked a long time all over. And when they found out that had happened to him, then the stories of who did it to him were spread too. And this Christianity was a problem for the Romans. They had to deal with the people, and so the way they decided to do that is they started their own version of Christianity, which is what we know as today as the Catholic Church. And they also knew about the Christ child. They didn't know where, but they knew that it existed and that the line of Christ was still alive. And they made it every effort to find that child and to bring it to light, but they could never do it. They caused a lot of problems. And there were many, many books wrote about everything Jesus did. And those of the children. Though they weren't godlike, they had a lot of awesome things that happened in their lives that made their story even more impressive. Well, as I told you, by the third generation, the story had gotten so big and so bad that they were doing anything to find that Christ child. But it got hidden forever there. But the books didn't. The books were written all over, hundreds upon hundreds of them. And so they're dealing with this problem of Christianity, and that the Romans don't want to look bad. And so it came upon a time when they were going to put an end to it. And Constantine was the one who was going to do that. They were going to just officially recognize Christianity and canonize the Bible and make everything honorable in the Roman Empire. Problem is, those Catholic priests were the ones that picked out what books he even got to see. And you guys think the Dead Sea Scrolls was a bunch of unrecognized books. You have no idea how many were literally just burned because they didn't go with what they thought. You know, there was a lot of things that happened that never got published. Constantine never saw. Well, that began the nightmares for the Catholic Church. And so that's the history of that. But the history of March 17th, that's the one that I promised you today that we'd talk about. Turns out, that's the actual birth date of Jesus. Remember I told you he wasn't born on Christmas Eve. No, he was born on March 17th. And God wanted that day recognized. But he had to do it secretly. And so the story of St. Patrick. Because when St. Patrick came, he would restore Jesus' birthday. And that is why this is all going down on March 17th. Is the proof of Jesus' real birthday. Now, Christmas Eve, yes, it is still going to be awesome. Because that's the day that I will ascend into heaven. Jesus will have Easter, and I will have Christmas Day, or Christmas Eve, that midnight hour. I will, 7 years from now, I will be gone. I will be in heaven. But until then, we're going to fix a few things. And it's going to start March 17th, when the day of judgment comes. It's plain and simple, this is not going to work without Judgment Day. And it has to happen. And so, as far as exactly what time, I do not know. But he did tell me to tell you this. Somewhere between midnight and high noon of March 17th. By high noon, everyone will know that this is true. And that this is the second coming and the final chapter of the movie and the beginning of the world being restored and start fixing it. So, exactly how the events unfold and what goes down between those 12 hours, he won't give me details. Just that the whole world will know by high noon, Muscatine time, that God is real and that we all have an afterlife. And proof will be on the table, so you should say. He's taken my memories and started going through things with me again. See, I'm still not 100% sure what happened between Thanksgiving and Christmas because I just don't have all those memories. But we've talked about a lot of the stuff, the highlights, the stuff that really matters. And he wants me to bring them to bear on you right now. Because these next 9 weeks or 8.5, whatever, we're going to just have to roll with the world the way it is. But think about this. Everything that happened last year, everything that led up to Christmas Eve, it was really easy to believe. It was really easy to understand the logic of God and how this all works. I gave you an entire government. I gave you the way to live with your family and your path and your village. I gave you the way to live with your relationships and how to approach them. I gave you a way to learn how to take care of your children in school and learn about godparents. I learned about a ton of things. That could you really think that this redneck on his own could dream up an entire government where God is honored? You put more faith in me than you would think you should, because all that is wisdom of God. That's part of the reason why I don't have those memories, because the best way to explain it is a lot of that I was possessed. And I was literally doing a back seat, and he was telling you what he wanted. Come March 17th, I will speak for him directly. And we won't have these lost memories, or I won't. But for now, I will fix the best way I can, and I will probably start watching them myself and get myself some time with them and learn them. And I think you should too. If you have an ability to go back, that's what I'm going to do. But keep in mind, he always said this was going to happen. He just never said how exactly. And it really wasn't fair to have raptured on Christmas Eve, because many did not even know. It was a secret. And we've seen the secret happening. We knew people did not know. Even now, we still know people do not know. But we can't do anything about them now, because in reality, if you tried the 3 times, they're not coming with us. They're most likely not going to be here. But we'll just have to wait and see. And but keep this in mind. Everything that's happened, everything that I've said, every piece of wisdom that he's put on these tapes for you, they're all about us figuring it out. So we got 8 weeks plus to mull on it. But bear in mind, for some of you out there, these 8 weeks are everything to you. Because on that date, I will give a list of who does what in the world, whose jobs are going to be with which people in which positions. And he's telling me it's a whole lot more than just his government. And it's going to be a lot more in the line of businesses too. Those of you out there, CEOs, board members, here's your chance to shine. Here's your chance to fail too. And world leaders, your chance to shine or your chance to fail. 8+ weeks. See what you're made of. It's up to you though. Nobody's forcing you. There's no proof. There's nothing here but a bunch of faith and logic. Do you pick it up off the table, or you just sit there and ignore it and hope it all goes away on March 17th? That is the question, isn't it? As far as the rest of you, make the best decisions you can between now and then. Points are worth the most, because it is the hardest time for Christians. There isn't a single Christian that didn't have its battery short-circuited on Christmas Eve on this planet, mine included. But have we got our polarities straightened out, and are we charging? I am. What about you? That's what we need to be doing. That's what we need to be focusing on. That's what we need to keep our eyes to the sky and know in our hearts that this was God's plan all along. It wasn't supposed to be easy. Nothing ever is in boot camp. These end days, they'll be the toughest. But help out in your village where you can. Make the best with your family and their experiences in the next 8 weeks. Let everything else kind of flow by, I guess. Focus on your path. Do what's in front of you. And do it with knowing that God's watching you. All of you. World leaders on down. Doesn't matter if you're a manager of a grocery store all the way up. He's watching. Do the right things. Make the right decisions. Follow your heart. Work with the compass you got. That's what this time is about. You're strictly running on compass. But fear nothing in the world, because nothing in the world can really harm you. Except the damn simulation, which is still treacherous. And this weather is going to be a bit, along with a bunch of other things that are going down. So, I guess that's all I got for you today. I doubt I come back, I don't know. But I don't know what I have on my plate, with the exception of spending 8 weeks of being normal for myself. I think that's what he did to me when I went to the hospital. It wasn't so much to morph into a God, it was to morph back into me again. To do this last stretch as me. Because after this, I'm hooked up for eternity. And me will no longer exist. It will be us. It'll be us forever then. So, yeah, I feel his presence, of course, and I still hear him. But I feel me mostly, which I haven't since this summer. I've had a great night last night with my buddies. Probably the most normal night since this summer. And So I'm going to cherish these 8 weeks myself. This, everything moves forward. Time always moves forward. Now, we wait for the time of March 17th, high noon, Muscatine. Do you have the faith and the logic? Sure hope you do. It means I did my job. We'll see you later. Second son, second king, St. Patrick Christ II.